time to ask questions throughout the presentation. I'll stop a few times. So for those of the people who weren't here when I introduced myself, I'm Soham Roy, and I'm from robotics team in Cupertino. So I've participated in robotics since elementary school, and I've been doing it ever since. I've been on 3 different programs, FLL, FTC, and FRC, and I'm currently doing FTC and FRC. So a lot of people have this misconception that competitive robotics is just for people who are interested in doing robotics in college, but robotics experience can actually help with a lot of different other jobs and things. So a big thing is project management. On a robotics team, there are often many different schedules. We have different tournament schedules. There's many different parts of robotics, including organizing outreach events and community fundraisers and things. So all of this involves things like project management and business. There's also a technical writing component where students can get better at technical writing and writing about more technical stuff. So if they go into fields where they're writing business proposals or things, this will help with them. There's also public relations where members of our robotics team have to prepare graphics and contact sponsors and reach out to the community to raise money and work with other people and robotics teams to improve our team. And robotics overall just increases teamwork and how well you work with others. So as I mentioned before, a big skill you can learn from robotics is teamwork and team management. So on robotics, you're often working with people with different backgrounds in either STEM or non-STEM sections. So you learn teamwork and team management and how to teach other people new skills and how they can improve them and how you can learn from them. There's also, you learn how to present your skills effectively. So you get better interviews and things due to the judging interviews you have through robotics and how you have to present your skills. There's also a leadership component to robotics where you can end up leading different teams or different sub-teams. So what's the impact of robotics on me personally? So I've gotten better at teamwork and communication skills, and through leadership, I've been better at leading teams. So this also shows in my academics where I'm able to lead groups within school. And I've also created a great friend group through robotics. So a lot of my friends do robotics, and it's created this competitive friend group where we all push each other to do better. There's also outreach events, which are where you volunteer with the community or work with the community to present STEM or teach other people about STEM who may not have access to STEM. And there's also, you're able to socialize with people across the country and internationally. So I'm currently part of a community with over 6,000 people, and I regularly talk to people across the country about robotics. And this overall just increases my engineering and business skills. So I'll be better prepared for college. Siri, can you mute?
You're a baby when you grow up. Got a white bitch sniffing on coke. Look at my watch, it frozen. Flip a brick, make a dude a hokey smoke.
So what ages and skill levels can participate in robotics? So robotics is for people in elementary to high school and beginner to advanced students. So as I said before, anyone can participate in robotics even if you don't have any experience with STEM or engineering. So these are the popular robotics competitions I'll be introducing. So first, VEX, World Robot Olympiad, RoboNation, and RoboCup Junior. First Robotics and VEX Robotics are the most well-known around the world, and they're both international programs, and there are many scholarships available. So does anyone have any questions about what I have already discussed? Okay, if no one has any questions, then I'll go on to introducing each robotics competition. So the first competition that you may have heard of that's the most popular is First Robotics. So First Robotics was a pretty old program. It's been around for years. So there are multiple different grade levels you can participate in for First Robotics, each involving different skills. So first Lego League is for grades 2 to 4 and then 4 to 8. So the first tech challenge is for 7 to 12 and first robotics competition is for 9 to 12 graders. So first LEGO League Explore, which was previously called first LEGO League Junior, is one of the cheapest programs, and it's for the youngest youth. So this program is non-competitive, so it's just for students to learn about STEM skills and start getting an introduction to the community. And in this competition, everyone is a winner to encourage people to participate in STEM. So that so students will complete a research project on a topic related to the year, and then they'll build a Lego model and present to judges about their topic. So this next competition is First Lego League Challenge, and it's for 4th to 8th grade, and it's about $800 to create a team and buy all the parts you'll need. So this challenge is competitive, so teams from around the world compete, and there's regional, state, and international levels. So for programming skills in this, you program in a block-based programming language like Scratch, or you can use Python. And there's some other. So the 800 team cost, someone asked, is for everyone across the team. It's not per person. So if you have a lot. And a big thing is sponsorships. So you can reach out to a lot of companies will sponsor first teams. So if you have a parent that works at Microsoft, for every hour the parent works with the first team, Microsoft will actually pay $25, and Google can donate up to $1,000, and different companies donate different amounts of money. So one part of robotics is fundraising, so your parents don't have to pay for all of the costs. So for the challenge component, you build a robot that is autonomous, and it just competes on a field. So although you're just building out of Lego, the final robots can actually be very complex. You'll see at the upper levels that many of the robots are very, very complicated. First, Lego League is a good introduction to mechanical design. So if you've never had experience with working with your hands to design these robots, first Lego League So there's also a project component where students have to do a research project. So one year the challenge was based on education. So students had to brainstorm solutions to improve how teachers educate students. Another previous year was focused on natural disasters. So students had to do a research project and figure out how they could improve responses to natural disasters and help people. So this project is a large part of tournament advancement. So one big thing about First Robotics is that it's more than just the robot. So if you participate in First Robotics, you have to always work on something besides the robot. So you have to work on a research program or working with the community. So this is actually a big you can't just forget about the project component. So this is why having a team with people of many different experiences can help. So for this program, you can participate at your school and at home or with community teams, so with your friends. So one of the benefits to doing FLL at your school is that if your school already has a program, it's often free. The disadvantage to doing FLL with students is that often you don't have as much freedom. So I know at the FLL program at Cupertino High School, for middle school students, you can only meet around 4 hours a week, so it may be difficult for students who want to be more competitive to do better. So the next program is First Tech Challenge for 7th to 12th graders, and this is what I've personally done. So First Tech Challenge is a lot more expensive due to just the robots. They're a lot bigger and they're not made out of Legos. So First Tech Challenge teams can have 2 to 15 people, but with often big teams, it's difficult to manage people who may not be interested. So generally, the sweet spot is around 5 to 7 people, where you have enough people to handle the workload, but not too many people that are left out. So the minimum budget is around $2,500 for a new team to buy all new parts and stuff. But you can also save money by buying new parts. If you want to be a competitive team, however, the cost goes up a lot more. It's $5,000 to $7,000. So a big part of this cost comes from expensive materials and tournament travel costs and tournament registration costs. So depending on the level of competition, the registration fees increase. And also depending on the materials you build out of your robot, the cost can increase. So this is a very competitive challenge. It's international and there's world championships. So there's an autonomous section and a robot challenge section. So, or controlled robot challenge, where you control the robot with gamepads, as you can see in this picture. So in this competition, students learn a lot of advanced programming skills. They can either use Java or block-based programming languages. So for the robot, it's built to compete on a 12-foot square field, and there are many different options for the robot. So it's a great way to improve mechanical skills. So as you can see on this robot, 1 second. As you can see on this robot, sorry about that. Someone's drawing on the, let me see if I can stop this person from drawing. So as you can see, this robot is pretty advanced. It's all metal construction, and it was custom built. So first tech challenge, even though the robot isn't super big, it's a very difficult challenge for people to get into. So for soft skills you learn while doing first tech challenge is outreach, which is a very, very important part of advancement. So outreach includes working with your community to improve STEM in your community. So a lot of the top teams have started different robotics teams in their schools to help reach out to underprivileged kids or people who don't have access to robotics. So this is a great way for students to get an introduction to volunteering. And one great thing about volunteering through a first tech challenge team instead of volunteering with existing programs is that it's fully student driven. So students will work to plan all the volunteer events and things. So you get to pick what you're volunteering for, and you get to figure out how to spend your money on volunteer events. So there's also sponsorships and public relationships. So as you saw, the cost is $5,000 to $7,000 for a full team. So for a team of 5 people, it can get quite expensive. So raising money is a big part of first tech challenge. So and you can also get a lot of sponsorships that are not just money. So this year we had a sponsor that would provide materials for us and machining. So with the CNC machine, which is very expensive, they were able to make very precise parts for a robot. There's also documentation. So the engineering notebook is a big part where you document your robot and you document all of your outreach events. So this is a big part of judging because it's a way for students to see, for the teachers to see everything that you've done throughout the season. So you can participate at school, home events, and community teams. First Tech Challenge teams are pretty popular at schools because it's often difficult for students to raise the money at home, but through your school, you can often participate in First Tech Challenge. So Cupertino High School has 6 teams, and I'm not sure about other teams, but there are many different programs across the Bay Area. So FIRST Robotics competition is sort of the most advanced level of FIRST Robotics. So there's many different people in this on these teams. So it's 20 to 40 people, so very big teams and very big robots. So this robot can extend to taller than a person. So it's very expensive for teams. So often you'll only find schools doing it with very big sponsors. Oh, someone asked if you can have a team with different people from different schools, and yes, you can have students from different schools participating on a community team. So this is also a very competitive challenge, but as you can see, the cost is very high, so it's difficult to do at home. So if you're interested in this, you can either do it with the school, or there's a few community teams. There's one team called WRO Robotics that is a community team that works. However, I'm not sure about team fees for these community teams. So this robot is built for a pretty big field, and there's a advanced programmer skills. So a big part of it is learning how to work with a very large team of people. So FIRST Robotics is very much like working at a company where you're often working with a lot of different people and aren't able to interact with all parts of the robot. So if you're looking into FIRST Robotics versus FIRST Tech Challenge, one big disadvantage of FIRST Robotics is that it's a lot more mentor-driven versus student-driven. So FIRST Tech Challenge, you're able to have a lot more independence and work fully on the robot. Whereas with FIRST Robotics, you're often not able to work on every system. But for, yeah, so soft skills. So for soft skills, again, it's very important for advancing. So a lot of FRC teams produce videos and document their outreach efforts, and there's also sponsorship and PR. So for the outreach section, there's an award called the Chairman's Award, which is emphasizes outreach that's global or far-reaching. So many teams do international outreach. So this is FRC is also another great way to show that you're part of the STEM community or working to help others. So you can again participate at school, at home, and in your community. So the next competition that's very popular is VEX Robotics, and it's a similar grade levels to First Tech Challenge and First Robotics Challenge. Oh, sorry, I'm gonna disable the annotation. Okay. So one reason VEX Robotics is popular is that it doesn't emphasize outreach. So if it's okay, you just have to work on the robot. So if you're not into outreach or volunteering, VEX may be for you, but there's some limitations to the competition. So VEX IQ is for younger grades, and it's like FLL with the VEX system. So it's snap together robotics and pretty easy to build. And just like FLL, they're regional, state, and international levels. So as you can see, the robot is not too advanced, but it uses these different components, and you can get pretty creative. So there are different types of matches and limited part selection. So in VEX Robotics, you're only allowed to use these VEX parts. So the next competition is VEX IQ Project. There's also IQ project part of VEX where you can present to judges. So VEX Robotics competition is most similar to First Tech Challenge, and it's for 6th to 12th graders. So it's a very competitive challenge that has regional, state, and international teams. So they're the biggest international teams are in China, I think, and of course the United States has many teams. So this is played on a similar size field to FTC, so it's 12-foot square. But one difference between VEX and First Tech Challenge is that you have limited part selection. So you're only allowed to work with parts from VEX, which is a vendor. So this may be an advantage or a disadvantage. One disadvantage is that it's harder to be as creative and you're not allowed to design custom parts. But one advantage is that it often keeps the costs lower because you're not using all of these advanced parts. And another good thing is that it improves teams, it puts them on a more equal footing where teams don't have a very big advantage if they have a lot more money or if they have the ability to use complex machines. So again, you can participate anywhere. So now these are some competitions that are less well known. So there's a World Robotics Olympiad, and there are many different levels and different competition categories. So there's a regular competition with smaller robots, and you can build these out of Lego. And so one difficult part about this competition is that you actually have to bring your robot disassembled and then assemble it at the competition. So I think this was put into place to prevent people from having their parents build a robot at home and not being able to build it at the competition. So this competition shows that you can demonstrate that you know how to build your robot and know how it works. Someone in the chat asked me privately what competitions I participated in. So I participated in FLL, FTC, and FRC. I participated with my school and as a private team, so without my school. So I know how school teams work versus private teams. There's also an open competition where you can use any parts, so you're not just limited to Lego, and you can use many different programming languages. There's a football competition that's maybe more fun for younger kids or more fun for people who are into sports but want to integrate STEM. So again, this is only Lego components, but it's more of a game where you play like soccer. So there's also this advanced robotics competition where you can use any different parts or any materials, and these are larger robots. So this has a lot more creativity involved. So Mate ROV is Mate ROV is something I also participated in for 1 year. So Mate ROV is an underwater robotics competition, and there are many different levels of experience. So if you want, you can participate in high school and then go on to university and compete at a more advanced level. And there's also RoboNation, which has many different programs available, including soccer and things like that. So how can you start a new team if you're interested in robotics? So one way is if your school does not have a robotics team, you can work with your school to create a program. So a benefit of working with the school is that it's often easier to find sponsors because sponsors are more likely to donate to schools. And so you can work with a STEM teacher or a teacher at your school to create a robotics program. But this may be difficult for your team, and it may be difficult to find students to participate. So another great way to start your own robotics team is working with your own friends. So that's how one of the teams I've been on has started. So we all did robotics at our Cupertino High School, and then we branched off to start our own team. So if you're also interested in robotics, you can start working on learning skills related to managing robotics teams and learning programming and hardware, even if you're not able to join a team yet. So I'm offering with my robotics team a computer vision and robotics programming class. So if you're interested in robotics and want to get a head start in learning about some of the topics that you may end up using, depending on what robotics competition you do, you can sign up for this. So I've also put some resources at the end of this presentation, which will be shared. So this presentation this document has many different links to all the different robotics competitions you can participate in. And so it'll make it easier for you to find the information you need and register for these competitions. So if you guys have any, if you guys want any more information about these competitions, or you guys need some more guidance or mentorings, you can always reach out to our FTC team or me personally, and I'll do my best to help out. So does anyone have any questions about any of the content I covered? Does anyone have any questions about specifically my experiences with Cupertino High School or a private team?
Excuse me, when is your class started?
Our class is starting on Monday to Friday this week or the following week. Here, so it's on this slide. So someone asked who's the lead of the team. So I'm the lead of my team. So part of the responsibilities of being a team captain is working with both sides of software and outreach. So I'm working with my team. So I primarily do hardware for the technical side of robotics, but I also work with my team to organize all of these volunteer events and things. So as a leader, you really need to be involved in all parts of robotics team experience, not just the technical side. So someone asked why I chose to do FIRST Robotics over other robotics programs. So FIRST Robotics is a great balance between volunteering to help your community and also doing robotics. So although some people may not like the fact that you have to volunteer to improve your competition, improve how competitive you are, I think it's a good part of FIRST Robotics where they emphasize that it's not just about the robot, it's more about reaching out to other people. So one of the great things about FIRST is that there are many different scholarships, and a lot of different colleges know that if you're a first person, you have experience volunteering and working with the team. So FIRST Robotics can also give you an edge over some other students in college programs, depending on how much you get out of it. So on all of these robotics competitions, working with a team is one of the most important things. So if you're able to explain to college admissions officers how working with the team on these technical skills has made you a better person or a better fit for their college, that will really benefit you. Someone asked, how did I start the robotics competition and at what grade? So I started FLL in 4th grade. I did FLL in 4th, 5th, 6th, grade on private teams. And then in 8th grade, I did it with Cupertino High School. Then first tech challenge I've been doing since 9th grade, and then first robotics challenge since last year. Someone asked, does the same scholarship stuff apply to other competitions? So I'm not 100% sure about other competitions and how much money there is available in scholarships, but I know that first challenge is one of the most well-known robotics competitions around the world, and it has many sponsorships. So I haven't done research on that personally. So, okay. Someone asked, how to deal with people on their team who don't participate or aren't working with their team. So one of the hardest things to deal with as a team lead or as a team is just people who aren't motivated or who show up and just do it so they can claim they were on the team for college applications or to look good on other things like that. So one of the ways our team deals with that is we work on a system where we first make sure that they're aware of the problem and they're aware of how they're not doing any work and what they can do to improve. And then we give them some time to figure out if they still haven't improved, then we give them a final warning. And then after that, if they don't change their attitude or are still messing around, we either talk to their parents depending on their age or them personally. So by introducing the problem to them initially, it gives, and possibly to their parents, it gives them a great way for them to understand that where they are with the team and how they're not contributing. So it can help them figure out if they really want to do robotics or not. And another thing is sometimes the people who don't do any work, they may be in the wrong spot on the team. So some people are more interested in the outreach part of robotics, but for some reason, either because of parent pressure or because they think it's better, they'll only focus on the programming part of the team. So this can often make it seem like they're not super interested when they're just not in the right spot on the team. So another person asks, is there any requirement to join? So for some teams that are already established and with applications, they may say you should know some robotics to join. But if you're creating your own team, you can start with no experience and work with the community to ask them questions and work with all the existing resources to work together. And if you're joining a school team, often school teams will take anyone who shows an interest, and even if you don't have any experience. Someone asked, what activity will students involved in? I'm not sure what that question is. Can you clarify who asked? And what activity will students involve? Okay. Someone asked, what programming language are we going to teach in the class? So the class is focused on Python. So we hope that students have a little bit of programming experience before taking this class because some of the content is a little difficult. So, but if you don't have any programming experience already, you can still join and we'll be able to offer extra support after the class each day online. Okay, so so someone asked, is Python ever used in competitions? So Python is used in some competitions, depending on which competition you do. However, we're teaching Python with this class because it's very easy to work with computer vision, and you don't need a lot of programming experience to work with Python. So one thing about the class is that it's more focusing on the, it's not as much focusing on the exact programming, how to program the robot. It's more focusing on the concepts that you'll need. So hopefully once you go through this class, even if you are programming your robot in Java or C++, you'll be able to use the exact same techniques in your robot and code. And another thing about the library using, so we're using OpenCV, which stands for Open Computer Vision. So Open Computer Vision has libraries for C++ and Java. So many of the same functions, and it's very similar to translate your code into those other languages. So someone again asked if they've already made someone on their team they've already made someone aware of the issue and they don't do anything, how can you solve that issue? So I guess it depends on your relationship with that student. If the rest of the team is comfortable without them, or if the rest of the team is willing to push them off the team, then that may be the best solution. However, I understand that this isn't always possible due to if you're friends with their parents, it may be awkward, or if you're friends with them, it may be difficult to have them leave the team. So in that case, it's very situational dependent on so one of the best ways to do this is just give those person hard deadlines. So you give them very specific work to do and you give them deadlines to complete it. And then you can just say, if you don't complete them by these deadlines, then you're not on the team. So this, and you have to make sure that those deadlines are very fair for all students on the team. So this way, uh, sign. Oh, sorry about that. So it's not, so you can choose any activity on the robotics team. You're not just stuck on one activity. You can always shift your role on the robotics team and try new things. Okay. Sorry, when the Zoom restarted, all of the questions got wiped out. Can you, if I haven't answered your question, please repeat it in the chat. Okay. Any more questions?